Hi, folks. Larry Rolla here. I made it again. Let me bring my friends on because I have a bad habit of hitting the wrong button and disconnecting everything. Here's Eddie and our new friend, Roy. Hi, guys. All right, Roy. Roy, for some reason, you're completely black. I don't know if you shut the lights off or what, but all right. Well, what did we all right, Roy is getting adjusted. There he goes.
Okay.
Okay, you're back. All right, now all we need is Manny. You told Manny that I sent him a link, right?
You heard me, yes.
All right, folks out there, for those that are listening, if you have any questions, just send them in. I'm putting the comments on. And I want to say a couple of things before we start, before Manny gets on. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a show with Ron Woodbury. He's going to talk about all the many horses that he had, how he bought them, how they were, who trained them, the whole bit. It's going to be an interesting show. Thursday, we're going to have a dynamite show. Thursday, we're going to have Freddie Hudson on with Michael and Scott, and we're going to have an interview with Eric Cherry. Eric Cherry was just fined $40,000, I think. Here's Manny. Let me put Manny on. Oh, Manny.
What's up?
Adjust something. He's probably out in his car again or smoking a cigar. Manny, I don't know if you could hear us, but you're black. We don't see your picture. So fix something. See, folks, with us, it's never run smooth. It's like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Oh, there he is. There's Manny. Hi, Manny. Can you hear me? Can't hear me.
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me see.
Where are you, on the roof or in the garden, looking at your cucumbers?
We got to
I'm
figure
on the
out
roof.
which of these things is better. I guess it's like that. Okay. Manny, I want to thank you for that meeting today. It was a good meeting. Can you hear me? He can't hear me.
Absolutely.
Manny, we can't hear you. You're frozen.
Hold on, I gotta fix it.
I was telling Roy.
Okay, this ain't working. Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta get off of here.
Okay. While we're waiting for him to come back on, let me just say hello to Sundance and hello to Dave McKenna and Jesse Black. What's Jesse Black have to say? On the way in, please give me a like button. Yeah, for all you guys that are listening, hit the like button. It does something. Oh, here's. You all set now, Manny?
Now you hear me?
I hear you good.
There we go. We're in business.
You know, for a guy who's is as successful as you, and for a guy who builds these multi-million-dollar homes with all the gadgets in it, you can't even get on a podcast. And can you hear us now?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you for the meeting today. The two guys you hooked me up with. Well, they were three of them. Two attorneys, one a woman, and that woman was an attorney, right?
Yeah, she's a lawyer too.
Yeah. Really, really nice people, and it was a good meeting. It was nice meeting with them. Beautiful, beautiful home, beautiful dock, and beautiful boat. Anyway, Manny, say hello to Roy. That's the guy that you didn't see.
What's up
Hi,
there,
man.
Roy?
Roy
man.
Roy is involved with the Thoroughbreds, and he was with John Sessa. I spoke about John Sessa. John Sessa was Alan Sewall's owner, and a very, very wealthy guy. Might have been a billionaire. He had a twin brother, and they had big farms and they homebreds, and they raced a lot of horses. And Manny was involved with, and that's how we met. I think that's how we met Alan Finkelson. I mean Alan Sewall, and working with John Sessa. And today we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk to Roy about how he got started, and about John Sessa, and some stories about my dear friend Alan Sewall. And anytime you want to butt in, because Manny is very involved with standardbred horses. Has a lot of real good 2-year-old and 3-year-old standardbred horses. His trainer is Ray Schnichter. He's going to probably get involved with Eddie and get involved in thoroughbreds or get his feet wet. So he's probably going to claim one horse for 30, 40,000, something like that, and just to get his feet wet and see if he likes it or not. And that's it. And also, if nothing works out with Fox Studios or with this other producer I met, and I'm able to raise the money uh, privately, I'm going to make Manny one of my runners, because he's the perfect size. He has the perfect accent. He looks the part, and he'd have no problem saying to a security guy, "Go fuck yourself." So it's perfect, and it comes out like fluid motion. So it's good. There'll be no acting, and he won't need any acting. And we'll get you a part in there too, Eddie. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah. Picking up the horse shit. I'll be in there.
listen, listen, Manny. What I want you to
Yeah.
do Monday. Monday, I have my friend coming on who I put you in touch with. My friend Lou, with the rideshare business. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to play. Well, I think he's up to. I think he's up to 1,500 drivers now, or something like that. And I think we're going to play a video that was made. I don't know who made it. We're going to talk about it. So Monday we're going to do a special show. He's going to come on and talk just about his company, because we're still looking for the money. And I won't get into it now, but he'll explain it, and we're gonna talk about it. So it'd be good, Manny, if Monday night you can come on. This way you can listen to everything, things that you never heard of before, and see how far it went, and then you could probably and I don't know if Charles listens to podcasts, but if he does, tell him to listen in that Monday. So I'm going to be talking about that every night I'm on this week, talking about the podcast. So for all you people that have dreams of being a millionaire, tune in Monday. Tune in Monday, because it'll be a great opportunity for you. That. And Thursday we're gonna have a show with Eddie Hudson and Mike. All good shows. All good shows. This will be the only fucked up show. This one here, because we have
Oh,
absolutely
good.
nothing to talk about. And thank God Roy is coming on, and he's going to tell us how he started, where he started, and all about the horse business. He was in the thoroughbred business. So Eddie, maybe you'll have something in common with him. But anyway, Roy, how did you tell everybody how you first started and who you started with, and all about it? Bring us up to today, if you could, and stories about our friend Alan Sewall too.
Well, Alan will come at the end, and I'll try not to be too long winded. I could go on for hours. Who couldn't talk about themselves? But yeah, as I was telling Larry before we went on, Meadowlands opened in 1977 with harness horses. I didn't know anything about that stuff. And I lived in Linden, New Jersey, which was basically exit 13. Had to go to 16W to the Meadowlands, so I figured it out. And I used to go every Friday and Saturday night to the Meadowlands. I had a red Lincoln Mark IV, and I'd bring a beautiful girl on Friday night, a beautiful girl on Saturday night, and they used to call me Red Lincoln when I pulled into valet. I was nobody, had nothing in my pocket. I wasn't a gambler, and basically I would go in there to the handicap room, if you remember that, and they'd give me a table, and I would sit with the girl, and there was windows there. I was betting $10 to win. That's it. And when I lost, I had American Express card, and I was trying to figure out how to get involved in this game, but I never did as far as harness works. And I was a baseball player, but when that career ended, I said, well, hell, I'm just going to go to Monmouth Park and try to figure it out. I read the racing form every day, and I met a trainer. His name was Bill Anderson. He's still the general manager of the racetrack today, but 40 years ago, he was just a claimant trainer. So I learned from the bottom up. And then one day a trainer said, you need to go to New York. And I went to work for Darby Dan at Belmont Park, New Rondinella, 1981. And Galbraith owned Darby Dan and owned the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I was only around good horses from then on. And, we had Proud Truth in 85, won the Classic, the Breeders' Cup Classic. And the Darby Dan horses were classic horses. All of them were grass horses, and we didn't run a lot of grass races back then, but it was no problem for us. So that was basically what I did, and all the other assistants that I knew, that worked for D. Wayne Lucas and all those people, they say, why don't you try to get your own horses? Why don't you try to cultivate owners? That's why I'm going to train for Darby Dan. That was my thought. It was a no-brainer. I knew the whole pedigree and all the families, the female families we had, so I didn't ever think that would be a problem. Well, Mr. Galbraith died, and then his son Dan took over, and shortly after that, he died. I never realized people were going to eye on me. And so I wound up going to Florida. I had a down there. I went broke in 91. And Kenny No, who was the general manager at Calder at the time, and said to me, Roy, I'll get you more horses. I said, well, that's good, but I got no more money. I had wall plaques, my name on everything. I said, I don't have any more money. I had a daughter who was like maybe 7 years old and my wife. We weren't making it. And he said, well, you know anything about managing a farm? I said, yeah, I started on a farm. He said, well, Johnny Sesson needs a farm manager at his Florida farm. So I went and took the job. And from there, it kept rolling. And a few years later, hired Alan Seawald, and Alan and I became good friends. And I would take care of the horses that we were sending. And there's a funny story. We had a gray filly who was a Florida bred. We started doing well at Monmouth Park because Johnny had a farm in New Jersey, but the farm manager was just a caretaker. And Jersey breds, there was only like 700 Jersey breds born in New Jersey. So I realized that so did Alan. Matter of fact, he's the one that told me they're running maybe special weight 35, 40,000. We need to have these mares foaled in New Jersey so we can make money because they can't compete in Florida with the Florida bred. So we did that, and it worked out very well. You didn't have to win. You could win your third time out. Break your mate. You could win in any other than your third time out.
Roy, who were cheaper, the Jersey breds or the Florida breds?
Oh, Jersey breds, way cheaper. They were
Way
cheap,
cheaper. Okay.
way cheap. And
And insisted on breeding all Jersey breds and then bring them to Florida and want Allen to win races.
well, that's a roundabout way. When I went to John's farm, uh, he had nothing but $20,000 mares, but he had a shit ton. And I was coming from Darby Dan. You know, I never been around horses like this except when I first started. I forgot that. And I went to Johnny because I said I could buy a couple Darby Dan mares, and we can buy them, reasonably cheap, and they're way classier than what you got. Well, how do you tell an owner he's got bad horses, especially when you're me and I needed the job, you know? So I said, okay, let me figure this out. I didn't have Alan at the time. Alan came later and actually saved the day for me. And that's when we started foaling the mares on the New Jersey farm. And then from there, we were able to make money. Otherwise, they were $20,000 mares throwing $20,000 horses. But Jersey breds are cheap. They
I
were
remember the day. I remember the day John Sesta. We went out to lunch, and he told Alan. He says, "I just left the accountant's office." He says that I can lose up to $600,000 this year. So and he knew it, but I don't think that was very fair because Sessa. I mean, he was a good guy, and he was responsible for me getting my Florida license. I mean, he
right.
just went into the judge and he just says, "Give him his license," and he gave me my license. Uh, but who the hell is this? This is Manny again. Manny's two times. Okay. Uh, but it was very unfair because he'd load Allen's stable up with 20, 15, 20 horses, all that had no chance to win, and take up all the stalls. And Allen would say, "You got to get rid of these mares. You got to get rid of. I mean, they're all garbage pails and they can't compete." And he just says, "Well, just try to keep my losses under 600,000." In the meantime, he's racing these things that have no chance, and it turned Allen into a very sick, degenerate gambler because he couldn't even set up his own horses. He had to, because they had no chance. And in spite of it all, the years I was with him, I think he was leading trainer a couple of times in
Oh,
Monmouth.
you know, uh, I was totally pleased, but he made us look a lot better than what we really were. And, I was like 1994, 95 in a real quandary with all these horses. And Mrs. Sest had a lot of say. And, Johnny was one of the wealthiest men in the state of Florida. And so money was really never a problem. But Johnny wasn't a horseman. He didn't really know how to go big time. And I did have two mares from Darby Dan, but Johnny wouldn't buy them. One of them wound up throwing a Derby winner to a stallion I never would have went to. But um, it was a very difficult time, and Alan did very well with a bunch of bad horses that were Jersey breds. Purses were big enough, so if it took them three tries or four or five tries to break their maiden, they're finally going to break their maiden for $40,000 purse, which in Florida they couldn't compete for 10,000. The same exact horse. So Alan saved the day for us. That's a fact.
I
He
remember
had,
the other day you called me up and you told me to watch a podcast just to get off the subject a little bit. And it was a very, very interesting podcast that I watched. It was about a guy called Jerry Silva. Remember, you told me to watch it, and I said I already did. This
yeah,
guy Jerry Silva was 91 years old. According to him, he lost like 70 million in harness races,
yes,
and I think he said his first trainer was Vernon Dancer,
right,
and then when Vernon Dancer broke his back and he raced a horse with Ronnie Gerfine. The horse was a 3-year-old trotting filly, and in fact, I did a whole podcast with Ronnie on this horse. And the horse made a break, but when she made a break, she didn't know how to run. She just fell. And that was the end of Vernon's career. In fact, I had Donnie Dancer on the show, and he talked about that. And so that ended Vernon's career. and nobody would drive this horse. So Ronnie was stable in Monticello at the time. And he come to me and he says, "Could you straighten this horse out? Nobody wants to drive it." Make a long story short, I set the horse up and I drove her in freehold. She was Jersey size stakes, and I won the race. And he always told everybody that I won his first stake race, and that happens to be true. The reason I mentioned Ronnie Gerfine was because after this guy Jay Silva, who's 91 years old today, he started out with Vernon Dance until Vernon broke his back. Then he went to Billy Houghton. He stayed with Billy Houghton until Billy's son, Peter, killed himself in that car crash when he. In fact, I was right on the road there when he left one bar and he went down Patterson Plank Road, made the U-turn onto Route 3 and hit the curb, ran into a pole. The pole came down and crushed him and killed him. He stayed out of the business for a while. Then he went to Gerfine. And when he went to Gerfine, and this is what I don't understand how this guy says he lost $70 million. When he went to Gerfine, the first horse he got with Gerfine was Muscle Hill, who won the Hamiltonian that year in 2009, win $2.5 million that year, and win I think made over 12, 13 million lifetime. Plus, this guy made a movie in the 60s. The movie he made, what the hell was the movie he made? He made a movie called Sleepaway Camp. Remember he mentioned that Sleepaway Camp? He says he paid $380,000 to get the movie made. It made $12 million. So I don't understand how he was saying, and that's why I really didn't try to get a hold of him. I was gonna try to get him on a podcast, but there were too many inconsistencies. I don't see how he could be with trainers that did real good and him lose $70 million. So I never try to get in touch.
Larry,
But
I know who you're talking about. Not only did he probably lose 70 million, he probably lost 90 million.
really,
Yeah, he's a real guy.
okay. So right now he has a piece of set 50 horses with Ronnie Burke.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
Yeah,
does. Let me tell you something. He's a sweetheart of a guy too.
I know. I saw him on a podcast. 91 years old, very sharp, and he said something that was very, very interesting. He says that he's involved with a company that heals wounds that are not healable. That can help a lot of people that have diabetes and stuff that has wounds that don't heal. And he's involved with a bunch of companies like that. Plus, his son is a major Hollywood Broadway producer. He produced some of the best shows in California, in on Broadway. So
So
I mentioned to when Roy texted me, I says I know I'm going to try to get in touch with him, but I don't think I am. First of all, because he travels around a lot. Second of all, he don't know how to work a computer, which means I would have to bring him over here if he has time, because he don't even know how to work his phone. And so I don't think I'm going to get him. But he sounds like a real interesting guy. So he went from millions, like he says, to owning 5-10% of 50 different horses that Ronnie Burke trains. So that was it. So I wanted to mention that, Roy, because I know I told you I'm going to try to get him on, but I'm not gonna try, only because he said it during that podcast that he travels around a lot. All he wants to do is get investors for the companies that he has. So I'm not gonna try to get him on. So anyway, go ahead, Roy.
Well, he's pretty feeble, number one, and he's got a hell of a history. That's the only thing that I know, and you know of a lot of it. But other than that, let him go. But back to what we were talking about, Alan saved the day for us, and working for Johnny, they were really great to me. They accepted me, their entire family. I was away for 17 years. I went back to them quite by accident in 2018. Judy Sessa today is up in New Jersey, and she's coming back on Thursday. I was just with her son today. I've become a family member to them. I don't need anything from them, but it's great to be an outsider, to be with people like that. Johnny treated me great. Judy treated me great. That's Mrs. Sessa, all of their kids, and I'm still with them today. So when you can have someone in your life when you really needed it, which I did then in the 90s, and now I don't, and they still treat me like family. Uh, Horse racing does a lot for all of us when we look back on our life. My people from Darby Dan, there's one left that I still stay in touch with. But everybody's is gone. John Veach
You're
is
still
dead.
friendly with Sessa's John's kids, right?
Oh yeah, I was just with Gary today. Gary's Johnny's firstborn son, Gary. I just with them for 7-8 hours today. And I can be with them anytime I want to. So you look back on your life when I was broke 4 times in my life. That was the time I was broke in '91, and Johnny gave me a chance. How can I go tell him that he's got shit horses? Way around that, came from Darby Dan. Uh, I'm going to find a way to make it. My daughter's 42 years old today. She was 8 years old when I went to the farm. She said, "Dad, that's the best use of my." It was for all of us. So we never know what came to us then, and I tried to make the right decision and not disrespect it. And not, what he's got is. How am I going to tell him? You got to get rid of everything he's got. They're terrible. But Alan saved the day for us, and I don't know at what cost it hurt him. But he did win some races. We did win races with those horses,
Yeah.
and we
Like
doctored
I
a
said,
lot
the
of
years
them.
I was with him, he I think he was leading trainer at Monmouth Park a couple of years, or second, something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
Alan would call me. I didn't have a cell phone then. He would call me in the barn, and we'd talk. He said, "Leave something you want," and I was sending him whatever he needed because I would buy stuff at the farm. Adequan. Used a lot of Adequan, the intramuscular stuff. And I would buy it at my cost at the farm and send it up to Alan. And Johnny would come to me and say, "Why's this vet been buy? Why is this vet been buy?" And I said, "Don't worry." But I'll tell you a funny story. I started before. We had a Florida bred, a gray filly. I can't remember who she was. And I foaled her in Florida. And I said, she's not a Jersey bred, but we're going to run her up there, break a maiden. She comes up with a foot abscess. And Johnny had his own Learjet. He would fly up there with Judy. And horses, filly's supposed to run, and comes up with a foot abscess. Great filly, 3-year-old, I think. And she's going to win. And she comes up with this foot abscess. And he said, Alan calls me. He said, "What should I do?" I said, "Well, Johnny's going to see that she's lame, and he's going to tell you, get her off the payroll, send her right down the street to the farm. Well, once you go to that Florida or that Jersey farm, he's not going to do nothing for you, and we're not going to win race." And so he said, "What am I going to do?" I said, "Find another gray horse. Let him see this horse. Don't let him see this filly, because I'm hoping he's going to tub her. He's going to do everything he does, and hopefully it's one of those abscesses that goes away in a week. Go ahead and cut it out a little bit, flaxseed poultice, tub her. Do what you do, Alan, and let's hope for the best." So now you're going to give her a week off. She's going to take another 2 weeks. So go see the secretary when the race comes back. Hopefully you'll get her back and you'll win. but don't let Johnny see this horse lame. Sees her lame, she's gone. We're done. Well, he does that. He gets rid of her, puts her in his friend's barn, brings another gray horse in, tells Johnny the story. The race didn't go. Was Johnny smart enough to go to secretary and find out why the race didn't go? Just bullshit him a little bit. Long story short, the filly healed. The foot abscess went away in 8 or 10 days. Another 2 weeks to get her back to where she was, and she wins. And that's what we had to deal with. And Alan said, "You got to be kidding me. He's not going to know. He won't know one gray horse from the next." It's not that we want to lie to him. I don't want to lie to the man, but he wasn't the type of man that would say, "Okay, we'll go with the next race." He's going to pull her right away and send her to the farm. And once she's at the farm, that guy's never going to do anything for us. So we're going to lose that chance to win. So we wound up to kind of making a deal, if you will. You know, what it did for Alan, I don't know, because I wasn't a gambler. Whatever Alan did, he did. But I know one thing, that within a month she won, and that was good enough for me. And we had to kind of, I don't think we lied, but I don't think we were honest with Johnny. But that's how we had to deal with it. He was like pushing a donkey up a hill. I'm pushing, Alan's pulling, but we're trying to do the right thing for him. And most of the time we did. And
All right, let me get to some of these comments because they're starting to add up here. Well, let me get to some of these comments. Here's the first comment. Stephen Testa. I don't know who that is. I don't think. Anyway, he says, Ron Gerfine said anyone can drive a good horse, but Larry Rolla is the best at making a bad horse good. Well, thank you, Stephen. That was very nice. Here's another one. PM. Hi, Larry. It's Anthony. You always mention all the vets that you loved when you trained horses, but you never mentioned Dr. Reed. He was one of the best. He had those so-called blue X-rays called zero graphs. Well, Dr. Reed was, from what I remember, and I got a bad memory, but I think Dr. Reed was stationed outside Aqueduct Racetrack. And you're right, he had X-rays back then. They called them blue X-rays or something, or zeros, and they could kind of pinpoint, because some of these sesamoid fractions that you got, especially the fractures in the coffin bone, because the coffin bone is really not really like a regular bone. It's more like a sponge. I forget. Anyway, and it's hard to find these, but he come up with these zero X-rays, these blue X-rays that were able to tell, and a lot of people went to him. I never did. Every time I called to try to get an appointment, there was always a waiting list. You had to wait days, so I never bothered with him. Plus, I was nowhere near Aqueduct. I was up in Monticello for the most part. So that's why I never mentioned Dr. Reed. But they say he was one of the best.
he was
Okay.
he was one of the best, Larry. I don't mean to interrupt, and you can cut me off, but I got many years with Dr. Reed and zero radiographs. Proud Truth, 1985. Dr. Reed was right outside of Belmont Park, Plainfield Avenue. He had his own gate on the backside where you could walk your horse through the gate into his office, take the zero radiograph. You're right, they were big, they were blue. The bone was white, and it showed up. We didn't have digital like we have today. Don't mean to get off on that tangent. Dr. Reed was a great guy, but his partner was Dr. Chuck Allen. Dr. Chuck Allen was the veterinarian. Dr. Reed was the surgeon. Anything
Okay.
you want to know, I can tell you.
PM says, Larry, is there any shot that you can get Mr. Kadish on the show? He is healthy and he is around. That would be the best show ever. Larry Kadish was probably one of the best owners I ever had. and he gave me opportunities of a lifetime that I never took advantage of. Had I taken advantage of one of the opportunities he gave me today, I would own 10% of 3 high rises in Manhattan. I would own 10% of the largest orange grove in Ocala, I think it was Ocala, I forget, in Florida. And I would own half of what he has on 2,500 properties that the Kmart's were on, 1% of the rent. And had he bought Roosevelt Raceway, I would be living on his farm in Old Westbury and probably still racing horses at Roosevelt Raceway. But the last time I spoke to Larry Kadish was a year after when I got barred in 1986. I gave all the horses to Billy O'Donnell. I got rid of most of them, spread them all out from different trainers, but Kadish's horses I gave to Billy O'Donnell. And Billy O'Donnell wound up just catch driving, gave up his stable, so we gave him to Teddy Wing. And when I lost all my appeals in '86, Larry Kadish got out of the business. He says that his words were, he says, since you left, I invested $3 million every year on young horses, and not one of them made it. The only one that ever made it was one that the trainer told me not to stake, and he's the only one that ever made it. So when I lost my final appeal, he got out of the business. I called him up 2 years later, and I asked him for a favor, and he says, "What do you need?" I says, "I need $300 million." And he says, "What do you need it for?" And I told him. And he says, "Larry, when I got rid of the horses, I sold my business. I gave my business to my 2 sons." He says, "In that deal, it's too big of a deal for them right now. They're just learning, and I'm in Europe, and But now he heads the largest Jewish coalition for the Republican Party, and he was the guy that introduced me to one of my favorite entertainers of all time was Charles Aznavour. He was the one that introduced me to him, and I should try to get back in touch with him. I doubt very much if he would come on the show, but if he did, there'd be a lot of great stories that he could tell. So, PM, you're right. Okay, here's Emmy. Dr. Reed was outside. Oh, Belmont. Okay, I knew it was one of them. Lorenzo and his trusted assistant. All right, so I knew he was outside of one of them racetracks. I didn't know which one.
Yeah, Belmont.
It was Belmont, outside of Belmont. Yeah, but there were a lot of good
Yeah,
ones.
that big, what do you call, center they have on Plain Ridge Road now. It's gigantic over there by
What,
Belmont. It's called
they have a
Cornell has it.
they have a clinic there, Eddie.
Oh yeah, you walk out the back gate. They stop the traffic. You go in. They got state of the art everything. They got thread mills. They got operating rooms. No, you should see it. It's a multi-million-dollar state of the art institution. It really is beautiful. And I
Wow.
had a couple of horses go there, and especially with horses that have entrapped epicotis and parallel, all that. They put that scope in their mouth. They put them on a thread mill, and they go about 20, 30 miles an hour on that thread mill. And there's a big 24, 25-inch screen that shows the internal passage, the esophagus, and everything. And
So you could actually see when they entrap and everything.
yes. It's
Wow, that's
amazing. It's amazing. It's called Cornell. Cornell took it over, and there's a vet called Dr. Piggott. He did some surgeries on a couple of my horses. He does a lot of taking chips out of the knees and then sesamoiditis and all the other stuff that affiliated with injuries. But if you ever come there, I would take you over there, and you would be amazed by the operating rooms and everything else they have. They have
Do they have an area there where they can stable the horses, or it's just in and out?
no, they got stalls. They got beautiful stalls. They're probably about 14 by 20. Uh, they're gorgeous. They're all in shavings.
Do you know that
Every
if I was younger, you know what I built at Fair Hill, that therapy center? I
Yeah,
would buy a piece of property right across where this place was and build a complete therapy center, even though it sounds like they already have one. But that's great. The only
no,
problem
they
with
don't. They don't. They don't. Yeah, I
go
talked
ahead.
to Manny about going to. I talked to Manny about going to see the engineering and see if he could finance and put a therapeutic center inside the track, as far as the swimming pool, the underwater treadmill, the jacuzzi, like they had at Gambling Farm in East Norwich, and that, even Finger Lakes got it all up there, and that's unbelievable. That's why I send my horses up there sometimes to get some relief on their legs and swim them up there, and bring them back home and race them, but
I'm
they
going to
don't
tell you.
they don't
I'm going to
put
tell you
no.
something. I'm going to tell you something you're not going to believe, but I have the drawings. When Vinnie Hogan got me my license back in New York, uh, I got because his second in command became the official harness racing commissioner. He got me my license back, and I told him I want a license for both thoroughbreds and standardbreds. So I got that, and I told him just exactly what you said. And I even have the drawings. I wanted to build a swimming pool, an equine swimming pool, and I had it designed by the people that have this big place on 17 here. I took the drawings, I gave them to Vinny. He got the okay for me to build a swimming pool there, and I just never did it because I wind up going back with Alan, and I didn't have the money to build it myself, but I got the approval. So I think if you come up with an idea like that, on the grounds would be perfect. You don't have to buy the property. You just make some kind of deal with them because they got so much land. Build a therapy center like I built there. In fact, you know what you could do? Forget about the treadmills and all of that. Just supply the place, lease 5 hyperbaric machines, $300 an hour, and I guarantee you they'd be filled up 24 hours a day. I guarantee it. That's a perfect thing. Forget about
Yeah.
the therapy center. Just build a brick building, put 5 hyperbaric machines in there, and I guarantee you they'll be full. $300 an hour, and that's what happened with at Fair Hill. They're busy. They're open 24 hours a day, 300 a pop. Unbelievable. That's what you should do. If I was
Wow.
younger, that's what I would do. That's a great idea I just come up
Well,
with.
it's
Okay,
it's
let me go
uh
back to
it's
these.
amazing.
Let me go back to this here.
Comments.
Comments. Dr. Reeves outside. Okay, we got that. Sundance. Larry, I put a picture of Teddy Wing on your kitchen table about a half hour ago. Okay, Sundance was the girl that used to work for me, and whenever I go, like today, I had to meet with Manny with his friends, and I left early this morning. I left at 8 o'clock this morning. I didn't get back until like 3 or 4 o'clock, and I don't leave my dog alone for that long. So I asked her to come over, and she left her keys, so she had to come back, and she left me a picture of Larry. I put a picture of Ted Wing on your table with Teddy Wing. Okay. Uh, Back in the day, Dr. Reed would just watch a horse walk off or jog for 50 feet, and he can tell you exactly where he was lame, where he was right 99% of the time. Um, that's true. But I have to say this, and I will say this. so can I, and so could Eddie, and so could any decent trainer. In fact, there's many well, I'll tell you what I could do, and I hate to say this because I'll be bragging, but I'm going to say it anyway. I could walk down a shed row and spend 2 or 3 seconds looking into each stall, and just by where they're standing and how they're standing, I can basically tell you where to look and what to look for. So, watching a horse walk off or jog off, if a trainer can't tell where a horse is sore by jogging him off for 50 feet, he shouldn't be a trainer. And I'm going to tell you something else. When I applied for a trainer's license, because the first time I ever applied when Vinnie Hogan was there, because until I got my license, I used to go underground with Alan Sewell. I had no license. When I got my license, they made me take this test. Now, Eddie, I don't know if you had to take this test or not, but you can answer this when I'm done. I had to take a test, and so they sent me downstairs at Belmont Park to the commission office, and they gave me this test, and it was about maybe an inch and a half thick of paper, a booklet that had all questions on it. And so they says to me, okay, it was 9 o'clock. They says, okay, at 12 o'clock we break for lunch, and then we're back at 1 o'clock, and we close at 3. So try to have it finished. So about 11 o'clock, I brought the book back up, and they says, "What's the matter?" And I said, "I'm all done." And she called the commission guy out, and he went through the whole thing. The middle of it, the the first couple of pages were all they were all three. They gave you three answers to it. You had to pick multiple choice. The middle half of the test was all about lameness, and the last half of the test was all about the rules and regulations. So he opens the book up, and he couldn't believe I was all done in an hour and a half. And he says this question right here, what's a bog spavin? Your answer is very interesting. He says because nobody ever is able to answer any of these questions about lameness, especially hind end lameness. And the question was, what would you do for a bog spavin? How would you treat it? And I said you wouldn't treat it. You would leave it alone, because if you inject it, if you drain it and inject it, it's only going to come back within 2 or 3 days. And he says I was the only one. Now this is the truth. I was the only one ever to take that test. Usually, most of the people, he says, I'll pass them if they get 50% right. I got every question right. And it just goes to show you. Now, that could never happen with the standardbreds, but it just goes to show you, and I hate to say this, but I don't give a fuck, how inferior a lot of the thoroughbred trainers are. That when they got their license, they couldn't even pass 50% of a trainer's test. And just this proof here that PM put, Dr. Reed, it's like a big accomplishment that Dr. Reed, one of the best vets in the country, could watch a horse jog and tell you exactly where he was lame. Well, any trainer should be able to do that. So anyway, uh, that's that was a good rant. Huh?
I'll tell you one thing about the test of the thoroughbreds and the test in the standardbreds. When I took the test with the thoroughbreds, and like you said, I said, there ain't nothing about horses. I said, it's all rules and regulations and weights and measures and all this other crap. And I said, at least when you go to take a test with the harness racing, you have to name all the shoes. You got a half round, half swedge, full swedge, with a trailer, toe grab, borium. Then you got the bits. You got all this. I said, this freaking test is horrible. Get the hell out of here. You could paper train. Get the hell out of here. I couldn't deal with this shit. I had to go study with the rules and the regulations. I said, there's nothing about horses in here, So
Yeah, you're right, and that's why the serious it almost gets you sick that people invest the kind of money that they invest in the thoroughbred business, and the trainers. Not all of them, but many of them are so have no knowledge at all. Because it's just basic. You go to one barn, you see the training board, and you see WWJ, this, that, that. It's all the same. It makes no difference if the horse weighs 1,200 pounds, a 1,200 pound 3-year-old colt, or a 900 pound 3-year-old filly. It's all the same. It gets you sick. That's why I always went back to the trotters, because you can go to any barn. I could have walked next door to Ray Remen, or across the way to anybody, and you can have Buddy Regan, Houghton, Dancer, anybody, and have an intelligent conversation about any part of a horse's anatomy, or how to shoe a horse, or how to get a horse off his knees or elbows, or whatever. You can't do that with a thoroughbred, because they run at a natural gait, and it's all you got to know is blinkers on, blinkers off. That's it. How to put a pair of brace bandages on. That's it. The shoeing part is really disgusting. No trainer is ever there when they get shod. Half of them are quick. It's really disgusting. I don't want to get into it, because I get aggravated that some of these guys are training 200-300 horses, making themselves millionaire. And if you gave them I said too much already. I don't
No,
want
go
to.
ahead. I agree with you.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't, because you got to face them guys all the
No,
time.
I don't have to face it. But I tell you one thing: if you see where I go, ex Manny, where I stand, I don't go near the trainer's booth. I don't go near the trainers. I do not associate with them. It's not that I'm better than them. I just don't like the bullshit, and I don't like that they put the red carpet out for people with money when the backbone of the industry is the small trainers, because they're in Florida when it's 10 degrees and we're up here freezing our nuts off. And I don't play. I don't like it. And it's a shame that they come here and they take all the money. And when they go back and drink their pina coladas, and we're over here freezing, that's not fair. Like you always said, it's not a level playing field.
Right. All right.
I
This
could
guy, IMNY, Emmy, he says, Larry, you were going to build a swimming pool near Dr. Reed. No, my swimming pool that I designed was going to be on the grounds of Belmont Park, but I just changed my mind after this discussion, because now what I would build is a big. I wouldn't even build it. I'd buy one of them big arenas, one of them big buildings, and put 5 or 6 hyperbaric chambers in there, and you'd have them full 24 hours a day. You should look into that, Eddie. That's a good idea, because a
I
hyperbaric chamber, that number one, it would help if a guy had the money to put the horses in there. A lot of them do. That would stop the massive bleeders. It would help heal the lungs, all the blood vessels in the lungs. It would help heal a lot of injuries that
internal
horses.
injuries. Yeah.
Yeah, and internal injuries, and not only that, but horses that just come out of surgery that need stall rest. That
Yes.
heals them in 1/3 the time.
Yeah,
I.
I tell you the truth. They have that barrack chamber for humans, and if they have like diabetes and stuff like that, and they have constant bleeding and they can't stop the bleeding, they put them in the barrack chamber for an hour per day to heal them internally, to heal up that gash or that cut or that, because you can't stop bleeding, and I could definitely deal with that, with having horses having surgery and putting them in that, because it does heal unbelievable.
Yeah, it does. It's forced oxygen. It takes 1/3 the time to heal. Hey, Manny, Sundance asked a question. It says, Cigar Manny. That's a name for you. What the heck are you doing? So who knows? He's probably setting up. Manny's a builder. He builds houses. He's probably looking at the plans of a house that he has to build. He took me to one of his friend's houses, one of his partner's houses. A beautiful, beautiful house. And where is it? Atlantic? What was the name of the place we went, Manny?
Atlantic Beach.
Yeah.
Atlantic Beach. Next door was a mansion. and we're looking through the sliding doors in the house we were in, his friend's house, and Manny says that he built that house. I got to take this call, guys. I'll be back in a second. Kevin, I'm on a podcast. I'm doing a podcast now. Can I call you after the podcast or tomorrow morning? Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Manny, that was the
Yeah.
guy just now that Kevin DeLauro, the filmmaker I talked to you about, that I gave them all that information. That was
Yeah.
him. That was him just now. Anyway, Sunday wants to know what the hell are you doing? He's a house builder. That house that what's that? What's that? What he's showing?
I'm on the iPad. I'm looking up a tax form.
Oh,
I'm listening to you guys, and I'm looking up. Was looking up a tax form, but I was enjoying the stories.
Manny, when you said you built that house, because you said it like it was nothing. That was a mansion next door. You really built
Yeah,
that?
from the ground up, baby.
Unbelievable. That house has to be worth million. It had to cost. That had to. I don't even know. 5-10 million. The house has to be worth. I would think that's the one on the corner that wrapped around.
Yes. Yes.
Unbelievable. Wow. Good for you. I should have met you a long time ago.
Oh, forget about it.
Okay, here's Freddie Hudson. I know Freddie. I know you just called me, but I can't pick it up. I was doing two things. I had two calls. Okay, when Freddie says when groom went to the thoroughbred, they became. Freddie says when grooms and standardbreds went to the thoroughbreds, they became trainers. Very good, Freddie. You know that's where I told you this when I passed the test. My friend Vinny, who got me my license, he says, okay, now keep your nose clean. You got your thoroughbred license. I'm going to put you with a good guy, Joe Aquilino. He's an ex-fireman. He became a trainer. He put me with Joe Aquilino. I was there for about a month, and I just watched everything and talked with everybody, just putting my time in. And he takes me to the track kitchen, and we're having coffee, and there's about six trainers sitting there with, including me and Joe Aquilino, and they start talking about something, and I never said a word. Never said a word. I just always listened. And one of the trainers sitting across from Joe says, "Well, why don't you ask your jughead trainer friend?" Meaning me. And that's when I turned the table over, and they reported me, and Vinny got me out of it. But they're just arrogant fucking jerks that don't know nothing. And then when they couldn't figure out what they were doing, a simple, stupid, simple problem, and I'm sitting there listening to four other trainers trying to decide if they should put heel corks on or not heel corks, the whole fun of that. And then why don't you ask your jughead trainer? And that was it. I turned the table upside down. They reported me. Joe Aquilino stood up for me, said the guy was I was defending myself, and I walked out. And I said, Vinny, I can't come back here no more. And that was it. So, okay. So let's see. What's Freddie's has say? When our grooms went to work with the thoroughbreds, yeah, we read that already. All right. They told me, I think it was, I think Freddie, Eddie, Manny called me the other day and said you had a horse that he was listening to the call of the race or saw the chart. The horse was in front, then fourth, then eighth, then distance, then pulled up. What happened?
Well, I saw his first trumpet. I raced him up there last year, uh, and he did the same thing yesterday as he did a year ago. He doesn't like the altitude, the mountain air, and he does not like Finger Lakes track. He did the same exact thing in the same exact spot. He broke out to the almost to the top, but they were going a mile and a 16th. They went 23:47. He was 3 deep, and you can't grab him. So instead of fight with those on a suicide mission, he took a hold of him, and evidently he just packed it in. He flipped, and he went backwards, which was, hey, when my owner seen it, she says, Eddie, I know exactly what happened because he did it last year in the same spot, the same race. And he has allergies. In the summertime, he's not a summertime horse. He loves the cold, the winter, and that's where he makes his money. As you see on his charts from January to February, March, and April, he wins all his money then, But then I raced the other two today. That white horse, I sent Manny the tapes. When you got horses ready to win and you get 2 piss poor rides and you lose by a nose and you lose by a half a length, that white horse, I raced him with Z bars. That's the one that Ian McKinley patched.
Yeah.
The quarter crack.
Ian put that Z patch, that Z shoe on him?
No, I did. No.
Why?
What happened was he put the glue-ons on after we healed the quarter cracks. In the interim, when the foot started to grow, he got an infection underneath the glue. So we had to take the glue shoes off and clean the whole foot up.
I got
so
it.
we had to rebuild his walls because his walls were no good. We put a 3/4 shoe to take the pressure off where the infection was, and that helped to get him back into training. When I was tubbing him, and Epson, I put animal intake on him, which is a poultice, and you know what it is, poultice and Epsom salts. And then we decided, let's put a Z bar on to take the pressure off. So I trained them in 48 and a piece, half mile. Come out sound. And then I went 5 furlongs easy with him in 105. And I brought him up to Finger Lakes, and he just got beat by the lip.
Somebody sent me a message that they said Eddie raced the horse. He just got beat a lip the last step. Oh,
yeah.
That's too bad.
And that was the white horse. He raced big. He raced real big. Allowance, too.
Good.
You got to buy a number of, what do you get a buyer of? 87 up there.
Is that one you claimed?
Yes, the one I claimed off Pletcher, the one that Ian fixed his foot and all that. But in the interim, he got infected again. And he didn't get no quarter cracks. But
How much you claim that one for? What'd you claim that one for?
I claimed it for 16. Yeah. And then the one I claimed off Mott, he was 15 lengths turning for home behind. He just got beat by a half length. He finished 3rd. Flying. It was in a sprint. If it was
I like that horse. I like that horse, Eddie.
Huh? What?
I like that horse, Concord. I like Concord.
You love Concord. I know you do. But if it was 7 furlongs or a
Very
mile,
nice horse.
He would have won easy. But they were both ready, so now they're coming home tomorrow. And now we go regroup. And by the end of August, I'll race them up in Saratoga just to show up there because I have to. And Thursday, I'm in the first race with the baby, the 2-year-old.
Was that the first race for you?
Yeah, that's her first race. Yeah, Joel Rosario's on her. I got the 4-post. And we'll see what happens. You got a gun and run. That's it.
All right. PM writes, Larry, I was watching races from Yonkers back in the day. They would start the race right at the start finish line. Today's races, they start at least 50 to 75 feet before the line. Now, I've been out of the game now for 30 years, so I'm gonna give you my opinion, and it could be wrong. But the reason I think it's being done is because back in the day, um, back in the day, they weren't going as fast, and the turn in the first turn at Yonkers comes up real quick. The starting line is there, and the first turn comes up real quick. And the starting gate used to probably go let you off at maybe 35 miles an hour. Today, the horses are going a lot faster, and they probably turn them loose uh, back maybe 50 feet before the line. They start picking up speed and they start to close the gate, because if they opened it right at the finish, right at the starting line, as fast as they're going now, they're probably going another 5 miles an hour faster, maybe more. They'd never make that turn, and they'd have a problem shutting the wings. So they probably do it halfway down the stretch, which is maybe 50 feet from the starting line, and this way they have plenty of time to close the gate, and that's why they probably do it, and that's just a guess on my part. Okay, that's it. Any more questions here? Let's see. Okay, Freddie Hudson. When our grooms went to work, okay, that I no, I I went back. Joe Aquilino was a nice man. Pedro, his trusted assistant. Joe Aquilino was a great guy. He was a really good guy. And my friend Vinny told me to stay with him all the time. And he was a good guy. I think he died recently, but he was a good guy who raced on hay and oats. Jesse Block, they also used to have the recall pole. What's that mean? They don't have a recall pole no more? I don't know if they have any recalls anymore. I don't know.
Now you make a break, you're finished.
Yeah, is that it?
Basically, that's the way it looks.
Yeah, but they
You
probably don't, because if they open the wings 50 feet before the starting line, that means they open the wings halfway down the stretch, because Yonkers has the shorter stretch. They have bigger, wider turns, but a shorter stretch. That means the recall pole would have to be in the middle of the turn between
yeah,
the
right around, yeah,
so they
at
had to
the edge.
eliminate it because it wouldn't be fair. So yeah, they probably eliminated. So if you make a break, they just keep going. They don't, you don't hear the starter say, "Okay, boys, take a turn, recall." You don't hear that no more. They just go. If you make a break,
Yeah,
you make a break. I guess that's the way it is. That's the way it is today. I don't know.
the
So
recall pole used to be at the 8th mile pole, right around the turn. It's
yeah,
almost at the top of the stretch.
yeah. David Arthur says, "Congratulations, Eddie. Two nice efforts today. Very good."
Thank you.
Okay, Joe. You got another Alan Seawall story, Roy? You're not
No,
sleeping, are you?
no. I'm good. Actually, had a question. Was in New York we never used latex until probably 2000. Did you have to use latex with harnesses?
Huh?
Roy, we can't hear you. You're too far away from your phone. Your voice is. That's it.
How about now? You good
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Hear you good now. Yes.
Hey, did you have to use latex? I never remember in harness racing.
Well, it become a joke now. It become a joke. It instead of trying to fix the problem, and I won't go into it because I do these rants every month or two. I go on a crazy rant about Lasix and how it's really detrimental to a horse. So I won't go into that. But now they use Lasix. Every horse has Lasix, and the unfair thing about that is if some of the states are going to allow Lasix, all of the states should use it, or none of the states, because it's not fair to have a horse on Lasix that might need Lasix, and then go to a state where you may be going for 100,000 or 200,000. You can't use Lasix. It's not right. They should have uniform drug drug rules.
What the
Who's
hell's
making
going
all
on?
that noise? You, Manny?
My dogs are barking. I don't know what they're barking at.
Wow,
Dog
that's
is
a,
going. He's going nuts.
so.
He's a big dog too.
Eddie, how many horses are you training now?
7.
Ain't that too
Yeah.
much for an old guy like you, or you're all right?
Nah, I'm good, brother.
You're all
Maybe
right.
I'll take Roy down there and Roy could help me out.
Well,
Roy
one
in
other,
Florida.
Oh, Roy lives in Florida? Oh,
I
shit.
golf.
And you
Um,
play golf? Okay.
there's one other thing, Larry. You know, I took the same test you took in 1982, and you know, when you talk with you were with Joe Aquilino and in the kitchen, and somebody said something derogatory, and the grooms, you know, you're a groom with harness horses. You go to thoroughbreds. You're a trainer. I was never involved with an outfit like that. I never spent 1 second in the racetrack kitchen ever at Belmont. I was lucky. I was very lucky when I went to Darby Dan. You know, where our barn was, we were in barn 21. That was called Millionaires Row. I did not think I was a millionaire, believe me, but we did everything right. And when you talk, or when the caller or comment talked about Dr. Reed, Dr. Reed was the surgeon. That's what he
Yeah.
was. He was the surgeon. And Chuck Allen was the veterinarian. He was the one that would come in
Mm-hmm.
and he would tell you where he was off. And Larry, you're 100% right. Um, you need to be in the barn all day. I was not a guy who wanted to be at the races in the afternoon. First of all, I never gambled. Second of all, I don't care about owners. I work for Darby Dan. They're my owner. That's the horses I'm going to train. I know all the breeding. I've got to be in that barn walking up and down after feed time at noontime until 3 o'clock comes, and we come and we put every horse out. Every horse comes out. Every horse grazes in the afternoon. But from noontime until 3, obviously we would have horses running too. But I could tell where a horse is standing in the stall, just like you, Larry. The way that horse is standing. Is that horse laying down? Did that horse clean up? I know each and every single horse. We talked earlier. Take temperatures every single day. 90% of Belmont Park or the 13 barns at Aqueduct, they didn't do any of that stuff, and we knew it, but I didn't care. I knew what we did. And you had Rokeby or you had Darby Dan, D. Wayne Lucas, uh, Joe McGahee with the Phipps's horses. They were all run the way you guys ran it in the harness business. Yes, you use more equipment. Yes, we use different shoes than we use. Yes, we use less equipment. But the good horsemen that were at Belmont Park were the ones that were in the barn every single day. You didn't need to tell me about my horse. I knew about my horse. Dr. Reed
Now,
didn't have to pick my barn. I didn't need Dr.
back
Reed.
in the day, Roy, back in the day when you were at Belmont, the whole left side of Belmont Racetrack was all privately owned barns, right? Did Darby Dan have its own
That's
private
right.
barn, right?
Barn
I
21.
can't hear you.
Barn, I'm doing the best I can. My phone's at my mouth. Barn 21 was our barn.
Yeah, well, that whole left side, of the track was all privately owned. You know, Rickaby, Darby Dan, Phipps, all those, and on the other side was basically all the small trainers that got assigned stalls. But each big outfits had their own barn, and they were only allowed 40 stalls. Now that there are these big trainers got 400 horses. They got
Absolutely.
so that's why I'm saying the small guy ain't got no shot, because if we break down one, we can't find another one. They got 10 to come in, and
Oh, no. I hope you're hearing me here. I don't know if
yeah,
you are. I'm trying my
yeah,
best, okay? But
yes,
but
yes.
I'm talking, when I first went to New York was 1981, and going back to what Larry was talking about, and the harness people, you know, you can go to every single trainer and talk horsemanship, lameness. We could do the same thing, you know,
Yeah.
where we were at, and we always did that. All the assistants, the assistant trainer, the main assistant. I was the main assistant for John Veach and Lou Rondinello. I
Yeah.
could call any shot I wanted, but I had to be there. I had to be there from 4 in the morning until many times 7 at night. I'd make the walk with the night watchman and make sure everything was right. But you had to be there. We weren't
Yeah.
like Woody Stevens. Woody Stevens' assistants, they were out at the races every afternoon in their suit and tie. Phil Gleaves, Billy Paget, Ronnie McKenzie, all those guys. David Dunk. David Dunk is still around today. All nice
Yeah.
guys.
He's a good
I
friend
was
of
with
mine.
I was with them. Great guys. I'm not knocking them. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
they would go to race to cultivate owners. Roy was at Derby Dan every day. He was known as Roy from Derby Dan. That's it. And I knew every pedigree, what was wrong with them. I've seen horse walk by a Roberto filly that I love. She broke her maiden on the grass just like I knew she would. She walked in front of me on Sunday morning, and I said, "She's fucking loaded." Nobody said load.
Yeah.
So she go back to be a broodmare. But my point is, we did what you harness people did. You were better. I definitely agree with that in many circumstances. But the good barns, the good outfits that you spoke about, we called it Millionaires Row. That's where we were, what you described as the left side.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it was right by.
there's some of those big outfits, big trainers that I don't want to mention names, but anyway, some of them are really good horsemen, and some of them they learn
Sure.
from the best. They learn from the best. But you have some of these trainers. I never see a piss stain on their knees. Never in my life do I see piss stains because they don't get on their knees. They don't do up horses. They just have a cup of coffee and they train horses from their car, and they don't know how to spell horse. And meanwhile,
No,
they got hundreds of horses.
that's the way the game has become over the last 20 years. One of the reasons why I'm not in it because I can't do it. I can't do that. I
Yeah.
want to be in the, be honest with you, I didn't even care if I went home for the race. I did,
Hey, Manny,
but I
what are
didn't
you doing over there with all that noise?
go
Well,
Go
me,
back.
I'm
ahead.
not making noise.
You could go ahead, Roy. I was listening. Sorry.
But it was a big deal to us, back in the
Yeah.
'80s. We had eight exercise or seven exercise riders. We'd walk out with our horses, but we'd come back with them. Our horses
Yeah.
all got back. They all walked for a half an hour after they trained and grazed for a half an hour. And a cold horse
Yeah.
every day walked every day for an hour in the morning and in the afternoon. They were all out grazing in our two paddocks at Barn 21. And we were around Frank Whiteley, Frank and David Whiteley, Joe
Yeah.
McGee, all those people. We were together every day, just like Larry was with all of the guys, the dancers and the Ray Remans and all those talking about horses. That's what we love doing. The rest of Belmont, I could care less what they did. I never
Yeah.
went down that end of Belmont. Never, ever. I came in
Right.
gate 6, left gate 6. I don't know. I didn't know my way around Belmont Park, and I was there for 11 years. I didn't never went in that fucking kitchen. There's dirt bags in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was
Hey,
just lucky.
Ed, how's the situation with the all the undocumented grooms that are there? Are they getting raided? A lot?
Well,
I
so
know in
far,
the standardbreds, I know the standardbreds, they're having trouble finding people to go to the paddock. That the trainers themselves are paddocking 2, 3 horses that they have in because no grooms want to go because the the ice, whatever they call them, they're coming
Yeah.
in and locking them up. You having that
They
problem
haven't
over?
they haven't hit Saratoga yet, but they're that's the same thing that they are petrified, the immigrants, because they used to finish work. They used to go downtown and go to these haciendas and the Mexican restaurants and they dancing and everything. Now they don't leave the track. They're scared shitless. Excuse the expression, but it's really no way to live. But I don't know that if they hit Saratoga. Last time they hit Saratoga was 2 years ago. I think they took out 50 people. See, right now in Belmont, all the dormitories are basically empty.
How about the
Because
new one? Tell them
Yeah.
about the new one. Tell them about the new high rise that's being built for those grooms at Belmont.
Oh yeah, you should see them. They're gorgeous. Well, he's got 1, 2, 3, and they just put up a new one, which I heard that they were gonna take the outside asylum seekers and put them in there and get them jobs. And what they should do, because they're trying to get unions in the track. Now, if they ever got unions, forget about it. These guys, these grooms and hot walkers, they got to pay union dues. They're going to have to charge them rent inside. They live for free, eat for free, doctors
You're
for
gonna have to
free.
pay over. You're gonna have to pay overtime after 8 hours.
Yeah, well, you pay overtime now because they take you to the labor board and all the other stuff that they do, and I mean you got no shot, and I could go up to Manny and I can say to Manny, I'm going to take you to the labor board, and I never worked for him. Now it's up to him to defend himself, and that's the truth. And then you got to go through all the rigmarole and shit. It's a tough situation when you're an employer. So, but if they hit Belmont and they hit Saratoga, there's going to be a lot of scarce help, so who knows? Back in the days, Larry, back in the day, and we had all African American grooms. They nothing but happy, singing, enjoyed, and they had their liquor, yes, after they finished work. And the horses had dapples like size of unbelievable. They would rub a horse unreal.
Okay, here's another comment. Joseph writes, "My first ever bet, I lost $2. Trouble is, I lost 500,000 trying to win back the $2. Bet hot dog. He's a sure winner. Winner. Don't bet lunchbox. He runs 12 to okay." But that's so true. And the whole thing, and I mentioned this today at the meeting I had with Manny and his friends, that when you get addicted, it's all about the chase. The chase gets you. You keep chasing that $2 that you lost, and before you know it, just like Joseph says, you lose $1 million trying to win back that $2. All about the chase. That's what destroys the chase.
That's it.
Somebody
Chat is
Somebody asked me about you
chat is
the
a
other
little.
day, Eddie. What? What'd you
What?
say?
I said the chat is pretty quiet tonight. It's not a lot of action in the chat.
Yeah,
Oh,
are
the
you able to
comments?
see the chat on your? I look. Yeah, you're right. There's not that many. There's not that many. Not many questions. Well, you know the problem. The problem is this is really a fucked up time to have a podcast. because it's just a bad time. And the other thing is 90% of these people that watch this podcast, that's why if you go back a year or even 3 4 months, you see the bill, it gets out there, and I get maybe 10,000 views, 30,000 views. But like tomorrow morning, I'll have 400 views or 300 views because 90% of the people, like when we talk about the horses and this and that, the people that are watching right now, they don't even understand it. They're just, they just come on every week. And half the people that used to come on, sometimes they come on, they see that we're talking about something they don't understand. And the biggest,
Here we go.
what?
Eddie, somebody got a question for Eddie about his Mia Sophia.
Okay, Eddie. I like the 4 furlong works on Sophia. Why not a faster 5 furlong work?
It's called conditioning. You don't need speed. You don't need fast works to get a horse in condition. You don't have to go in a minute. I just put some bottom in. I worked the 5 furlongs with another horse in competitiveness, and we went around nice and easy and put some air in the lungs and galloped out. But she breathes 47 and 2. A half mile works are good. So we'll see what she's made of.
Okay. Larry, anytime we would ask Ted Wing if we could bet our horse, he would give this answer every single time. He would say, sure, he can win, but he's in real tough. What do you do with that answer? Stop asking him. That's what you do. Don't ask him. When Mike Gagliotti first started, when he first started, he did paddocks for me up in Monticello. And I think he was 16 years old. And he says, can I bet my paddock money on this horse? And I said, no. And he took the paddock every week. He said the same thing. He says, well, hold my paddock money, hold my. Finally, one week, about 2 months later, I says, this horse will win tonight, and he wanted to bet. He had about $100 coming. I bet the 100 for him, but that's what started out his career. And when Mike Gagliotti got his license, we all signed for him. The 2 horses that he used to take paddock for me all the time, I gave them to him as a gift. That was Mike Gagliotti. Someday we're going to do a whole show about Mike Gagliotti. Freddie Hudson. I had some great grooms work for me. They made me look good. Yeah, good groom, but they're hard to find. They're hard to find. You know what's great? This happened once or twice. In fact, it happened with Wildwood Jeb. The groom come to me when I first got him, and he says he has a tremendous pulse in his back leg, right underneath. Because what we used to do all the time, and usually you do it in the front leg, you just put your 2 fingers on either side of the pastern, right below the ankle, and you could feel the pulse of the horse. And if the pulse is not the same in both of them, usually there's a problem. But he found a high pulse, a rapid pulse on the left hind leg, which is very unusual. And that's when we spotted that he was running down behind, and he had a big sore right underneath the thing. And had the groom, well, it was the first day, we would eventually caught it. But that's something else today, the grooms that do. The first thing that you should do as a groom is walk in the stall, put him on a cross ties, stick the temperature in his ass, put like Roy says, get the clothespin, tie it to his tail so you don't lose the thermometer, and just run your hand down his legs and wind up the last stop right below the ankle and listen and feel the pulse. And if the pulse is worse in one leg than the other, you know that there's a problem in the foot. And I guarantee you, if you went in every stall at Belmont Park, there'd be a problem in the foot on just about every horse. Okay. Let's see. I make a lot of guarantees, but I never follow. But you could bet on that. Okay. Good evening, guys. Trying to bet Mountaineer and enjoying your conversation. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, we're all doing well. We spent I don't know about Manny, but I spent 6 hours on the road today. You should have saw the way navigation took me home. Man, oh man, they started me off on the Bell Parkway, then right across Brooklyn to the Van Wyck, and I mean, a completely different way. I was going to stay straight on the belt, but then I know that the Staten Island Expressway is probably bumper to bumper. But I made it home in 3.5 hours. I don't know how long it took you to get home, but it took me 3.5 hours.
Oh,
Okay, let's see what this says here. Manny, I'm good friends with Ray Schnick, the really awesome guy from Batavia, New York. He used Charlie Cable to shoe for many years. Charlie Cable is one of the best blacksmiths around. The Cable boys, they big family,
Leon
big
Cable, right? Leon
yeah,
Cable was down in Pompano, right?
yeah. But
he's a good guy.
okay, BM Freddie, I know that you knew Austin Hope. He passed away the other day. Nicest guy I ever worked for. Yes. Yeah, he was. He was. Uh Eddie. Bob Young says hello. You get
Okay.
that,
Hi,
Eddie?
Bobby. Yes, he's a jock agent. Yeah, he was a jock agent.
What do you mean he was? He quit?
Yeah, yeah, he's not doing it no more. He had a nice kid, Sammy Camacho Jr. But he's down in Florida.
Freddie Hudson answers, yes, Austin Hope was a great
Oh,
good friend of mine.
I
Okay,
want to be
Joe.
a jockey agent. Can I be a jockey agent?
No, you don't want to be a jockey agent because you'll knock the trainer out the first day you're on the job. Because the trainer will say, first of all, they'll put you on a horse that's dead lame, and then you go back to get the ride back, and you say, listen, the jock says that your horse was not sound, he was lame, and they get insulted, and they never use you again, and you want to knock them out. Anyway, Larry, gambling a terrible sickness, but it's the only disease where you can like win a bunch of money. Yeah, but they didn't build Vegas and Atlantic City with a bunch of money. And how do you? It's terrible, terrible. We went through it today at the meeting with Manny today and his friends. It's the worst addiction ever, and I was addicted. It's worse than drinking. It's worse than drugs. It's worse than any other addiction because it's not a substance abuse addiction. It's a mental addiction, and there ain't no escape. The only escape is you get yourself in a lot of trouble. Okay, let's see. Hello, everyone. Angelique.
Hello,
Tommy.
Angeline.
Hi, Tommy. Hello, Larry. Hello, new panel crew. Blessings to everyone from Belleville. That's my friend Tommy Sticks. Got a show at 7 o'clock every morning. Let's see. Joseph, no offense, Eddie. Brad Cox would work Sophia 5 furlongs and 59. Hope she wins. Okay.
Brad Cox. Brad Cox got 300 horses. I got 7. You want buck shins? Go ahead, breeze them. 59. You don't know. Whatever. I don't want to get aggravated. Go ahead.
Is it true they're building an artificial track there, one of them tartan
Yeah, they
tracks?
got a synthetic. Yes. Yes, synthetic.
That's going to be the permanent track for Belmont?
Yes.
No.
No. You got the synthetic, then you got the dirt, then you got the turf and the outer turf. So
It'll just be used for the
Listen,
winter.
synthetic,
listen.
synthetic is for the winter because as soon as they get that open, that gonna closes and that's it. Gonna be racing at Belmont and Saratoga.
Hey, Larry. Larry,
Yeah.
before you read that comment, the other day Eddie wasn't on this, that, the other, and I just want to go through something with what's that noise in the background? I hear a loud noise.
Not me. It's either Eddie or
No,
Roy.
not me. I'm in a room that's a 2x4.
It sounds
I'm
like
quiet.
somebody snoring.
I'm quiet.
So
But
anyway, we got Roy and Eddie on here now, and what I want to say is, you had the guy on the other day, and they're talking about betters and this, that, the other. Listen to me. There's nobody. One game is ahead of the game. There's not one person that's ahead of the game. And, they were talking about, I don't want to sound like I'm being nasty, but, oh, this guy bet 300 million, this guy bet 500 million, this guy bet a billion. I mean, where did they find these guys from? And I want to hear from Roy or Eddie. Do you know anybody that was ever a gambler that finished in the plus?
Never.
It's
I
just not pot.
I say all gamblers lose, and they want to lose. That's weird.
Eddie,
okay,
what's your thoughts?
See a gambler come out plus? Well, I don't know people that I don't have people that I know that bets millions. If they do, they're a bunch of fools.
I'm going to answer and then I'm going to move on because I don't want to get into a pissing contest here. But I know a handful of gamblers that they're very, very disciplined, very, very sharp, and they make a living gambling. And that's as much as I'm going to say. Okay, now I'm going to read my thing from Tommy Stiggs. Take it from me, a bookmaker. Take it from me, a bookmaker. Tommy Stiggs was a bookmaker. He went to jail and then come out and straighten out his life, but he was a bookmaker. It's a sad sight to see, to be quite honest, when you take the path that people go down when they are addicted to gambling. You're right. And Tommy knows that once you're addicted, it's bad. It's really bad. Like I mentioned it today at the meeting we had with Manny and his friends that I was addicted, and I consider myself a very strong person, but it gets you to the point where I almost I almost I didn't almost kill myself. I almost got killed from that addiction. And then one of Manny's friends asked me, "How did you get out of it?" And I got out of it because I was put in a position where, first of all, I had no more money. I had nobody to bet with on credit. Everybody in New Jersey knew of my situation, and if I didn't pay, I'd get a bullet in the head. So it becomes a way of life that this is what you have to do. You got to come up with 16,000 or 15,000 a week, and that's it. And when you get tired of that, you could jump off the Verrazano Bridge if you want, but you got to pay. I pay. Okay, but it's right. It's a terrible,
Uh,
terrible addiction. Okay,
Eddie,
here's the
what's going on over there? You getting ready to box somebody? What are you doing over there, Eddie?
I'm putting my
What are you getting ready to go box? Or what are you going in the ring, Eddie?
I go work out.
All right. Hey, Eddie, here's a good compliment for you, I think. It
Go
says
ahead.
Stephen Testa says Eddie does a great job training against the big boys in New York. People shouldn't question his training style. Yeah, you should never question anybody's training style because it's really not the right thing to do. Sometimes, sometimes I make comments uh, about thoroughbreds, never about standardbreds, but about thoroughbreds I do because it's so simple. There's no rigging involved. I mean, it's blinkers on, blinkers off. Period. That's it. The rest is finding lameness and conditioning. And when you see
Hey,
horses running in and running out, losing action, and on the wrong lead and everything else, you don't got to be a fucking genius to know that something's wrong. But nothing ever gets done. They race after race on the wrong lead. Takes them halfway down the stretch to switch leads and everything, and nothing ever gets done. Week after week, month after month, they're the same horse, and these are the things that drive me crazy. With the standard breds, that you can make a world champion out of a 3,000 claimer if he has the ability, just by changing equipment, letting the hobbles out 5, 6 inches, lowering his head or raising his head, changing the bit, changing the shoes. These are all adjustments that you can make to make a mediocre horse better if he has the ability. And also, if you don't know what you're doing in the standardbred business, because of your lack of knowledge, you could take a horse that was meant to be a good horse and just strangle him with hobbles are too tight, and his head is too high or too low, or you got the wrong shoes on him or something. He's smashing his knees or he's hitting his shins. Where, and probably the best thing for a lot of the bad trainers in harness racing was when all of these good guys like Campbell, O'Donnell, and many others, Mac LaChance, they start catch driving, and they would come back and say, "Let these hobbles out 5 inches," and you take
Hey,
a mediocre horse and turn him into a world champion. And that's the difference.
Larry,
The thoroughbreds,
Larry.
what?
No, no, go ahead. I want to ask you. I want to ask all you guys something. But go ahead. I want you to finish. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying with the thoroughbreds, there's none of that. I mean, if a horse is say he's running with his head high, okay, so if a trainer is sharp enough, he'll probably put a shadow roll on, so bring his head down. Okay, that's as much of equipment as that you'll probably ever see, aside from blinkers on, blinkers off. And then they have the different cups: full cup, half cup, cheaters, and it's basically so bullshit. And yet, if you say, and some of these exercise riders are no better. You sit there and after the work, come back. How was he? Switch leads, good. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're watching with the binoculars.
How was he? Good, good. You got
How
one
was he?
link. How was he good?
It's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, and good. Yes, he switched seats. Oh yeah, good, good. In the meantime, he's coming out of the fucking turn. He never switched to the fucking right lead. Never. The whole fucking length of the stretch, he's on the wrong lead. He's on the right lead, the wrong lead. And how was he? Good, good, good. Yeah, good. It's unbelievable. And the fucking trainers, you sit there, not so you're in the booth or what, and you sit there, and after you sit there in the observation box there by the track, and then you sit there or by the gap, and the jockey comes back with the horse, and the trainer is there. How was he? Good, good. And the trainer, oh, good, good, good. Yeah, we straighten him out. In the meantime, you
You know, I got a half a leg. The
Oh
fuck?
God, how the fuck, and this is the shit that bothered me, and the same thing like in the movie business. I had to leave California. When I come home, Joanne says to me, "What are you doing home?" I says, "I'm going to kill somebody." Every fucking thing is hugs and kisses, lies. The whole fucking thing. It's a plastic world, a phony world, and everybody caters to people who play make believe. And they all fucking lie. It's crazy. I had to come back, and now I'm dealing with again all fucking. Oh, I love you, sweet. It's a bad fucking world. I'm so sorry I wrote this fucking book. So sorry. The only good thing about the book is the podcast, and I got to meet a lot of people that, like you, Freddie, Eddie. I haven't seen you in 30, 40 years. From
Yeah.
a guy I used to see all the time, a guy that slept on my floor, a guy that I used to fall over coming home at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, I don't see you. You were a young, good-looking, skinny guy that was now. Well, Jesus Christ, Eddie was a
Larry,
good guy when he was young. He was.
one thing I gotta say about you, your book is real. So there. You both wrote about your life story, which is not fiction,
Yeah, but
nonfiction,
but
whatever.
but but you have to deal. I got conned into writing this fucking book. I got caught.
No,
Frank Colada,
you wanted to put it out there because what you did and survived in life, and you went and look where you are at this point.
where the
You
fuck am I?
you
I come out of a
where are
million
you?
elevation today,
You're
and I got
sitting.
in a
You're
fucking
sitting.
Kia. In fact,
You're,
Manny says, "Oh, what a nice car." The fucking piece of shit. It's a fucking Kia. A
hey,
Kia.
hey,
You you
hey,
run over a pebble in the road and you feel it. Where
hey!
the
You beat cancer. You are alive.
oh well,
Fuck
that's
everything
something
else.
different. That's because God. That's because
That's where you are. You are.
God
You ain't.
wants God uses me to see how much abuse and a punishment a human can take, and I'm the guy. I'm the guy. He put me through fucking hell. He put me to what I went through. My friend Al says it in the back of the book. There is something like this. There is nobody that could take the dope took and be alive or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, but
And it's true. Every fucking time, it's like my whole life was like climbing an ice mountain. My whole life. And every time you just about get there,
You
it's
slide
terrible.
down.
In 1984, I was training over 100 racehorses. I had Larry Kadish that loved me. I had Annie Beleza. I had Alan August. I had Big Willie Farms. I had Aaron Wagman. I could have made a phone call talking about my movie, trying to raise 5 million. I could have raised 5 million. I could have raised 500 million with maybe one phone call. For sure, two phone calls in 1984. And because of a fucking bullshit $1 trifecta ticket, and now you're not giving up them four, I lost everything, every fucking thing. And that's what I says every time. And I never took. And that's a good lesson. When opportunities come your way, you got to take them. I never took one.
Right.
Alan August was Alan August business was, and how I met him when they thought they were going to get gambling in Monticello in the 70s, all the hotels had to have a certain amount of rooms or something. And Charles Lusky hired Allen's company to build these big extensions on the hotels. That's how I met Alan August. The first night I met him, he gave me a blank check. He says, "Buy a horse." Lusky introduced me. And that's when I bought that horse, High Hope Brick, for I think 100,000 or something. And they wrote a special race for him, and I won that race. I had all the best horses come around, and I got lucky. I won that race. But uh, it's it's uh, it's a tough. It's tough. The only good thing and when the time you got it pretty well figured out how to read people, how to know what to do, what not. You get so fucking old that who you going to teach? The young kids today don't want to know nothing. So it's all like all the knowledge that I have is really gone to waste. And believe me, Frank Collada and Frankie Vincent and Alfred and all these guys didn't basically force me to write that book. I never would have wrote it. I didn't write it. I didn't want to write it, and now it's become. That's where I went today. I went today to talk to some of Manny's friends, and because I may try to raise the money privately and do my own movie because I'm getting really sick and tired of uh, of these big corporations. The only thing is, I met a guy, a big producer, 2 or 3 days ago in the city, and I shook his hand and I said. I won't do anything on my end, meaning trying to raise the money privately, until I hear from you that there's nothing that could be done. So, I mean, if Manny's people gave me a check right now for 10 million, I could take it. I'd have to wait because I shook his hands. And another thing I said at the table, and Manny was right there when I said it, and these are all Hasidic Jews that were there, all religious Jews. In fact, I had to travel an hour to find a liquor store that sold real good kosher wine, and then I had to find a bakery that sold kosher pastries.
So, let me tell you, those pastries were great, Larry.
And I didn't know this, that when you go buy a kosher pastry, they put them in the box, and the box has to be sealed. I didn't know that because they won't eat it because they think somebody messed with the things. But uh, I forgot what I was going to say. And that's another thing.
You should have went over there with a bottle of Manischewitz and some Rugala. See, it would have been
Well, that's what Manny said. Manny says, "Oh, they sell kosher wine all over." I wasn't going to bring over a $30-$40 bottle of wine, so I had to go. And when I called up all these places, I says, "You got any good kosher wine?" And so finally, one place said, "Yeah," but I bought the most expensive bottle, which it was really nothing. But it's hard. It's hard to shop for these Hasidic Jewish guys. But what I told the Jewish guys, and Manny was sitting right there, I says, there's a couple of things I learned about Jewish people, having Jewish people as owners and being the last 20 years in the car business with Jewish people. When you negotiate or with a Jewish person, it's tough negotiating, but once you get to that point, you shake their hand, it's a done deal. When you deal with Italians, you could sign the contracts and everything else. You got to hope you don't get fucked. And that's just the way it is. And I'm Italian, and everybody on here is Italian. Everybody, all my friends. But that's it. You got to be careful. You don't think because you're making a deal with an Italian guy, and I lived through all this shit. They're just.
Yeah, but Larry, the real Italians that came off the boat, they all took care of each other. All of them took care of each other. It's the generation after that they all the Italians screwed each other.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because in the 60s, 50s, 40s, you're 1,000% right. And not only that, but for most businesses, except the real big ones, you all you needed was a handshake. Like people say to me, "You have a contract?" No, I don't have a contract. Why? What do I have a contract for? Because if you break it, I ain't gonna sue you. I ain't got the money to go through courts and sue you. I ain't gonna do nothing. You just fuck. And that's where you learn how to read people. You just learn. And if you make me sign a contract and you don't do what you say, and I don't do because you don't do what you say, I tell you to go fuck yourself, and you say, "Well, I have a contract." Good, take the contract and stick it up your ass. But years ago, you didn't have to worry about that. You didn't have to worry about none of that. Everybody was honorable. Today, it's not like that. But the Jewish people, when you make a deal with them and shake their hand, they're tough negotiators, but they're solid. And I let that known. I let that known right at the table. You were sitting right there, Manny.
I
I
heard
told,
you.
and they were all Jewish, except that even that girl, that lady lawyer, was Jewish, right?
Yeah,
She
she's
was,
Jewish too.
yeah, because she knew all about the pastry and everything. Yeah, so she was Jewish. Yeah.
So two things I wanted to say. The one thing is, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but talking about gambling, do you know that you could actually ban yourself from a casino? I had a friend that banned himself from every Atlantic City casino. And if you go in, they'll call the cops on you and you banned yourself. Did you guys know that?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
know. I don't. I don't. The only time I go to a casino is to see the shows. I don't like table games. I don't go to casinos for that.
And the other thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys, a little off topic, but I'm sure you guys could tell me. I watched a documentary on a horse that I never heard of before, and I don't know why I never heard of it, but I watched a documentary on this horse, a thoroughbred named Cigar. And
Yeah.
I had a couple questions about it. Do you guys know about this horse, Cigar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. The guy that probably knows the most about it is Eddie and Roy. I
Yes.
So,
only know, and
so
it's amazing to me how it took so long for them to figure out that he should race on the grass, not the dirt, or vice versa. I just can't believe that. And he was with top trainers, but I know very little. But I'm sure Roy and Eddie could know a whole lot
so
more.
So here's my question that I have, because it didn't say it in the documentary. This horse made almost $10 million, and then they said that he went out to stand stud, and he was sterile. He was sterile, and it cost the insurance company about $40 million, whatever. But my question is, this horse won 16 races in a row. How come this horse was never in the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont? What was the reason for that?
Racehorse Cigar. That
Are you ready?
horse.
That's an easy one.
Roy, you got an answer?
Yeah. First of
Go
all,
ahead.
are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Bill Mott was the trainer. Alan Polston owned him. He was one of those 3-year-olds that he came along late. He did all his good running when he was a late 3-year-old after those races. And he won all those races as a 4. I don't know if he ran as a 5. I was slightly leaving at that point. Bill Mott was the trainer. Alan Polston's the owner. He was not ready as a 3-year-old. That's why he did not run in the Derby and all those. His success came as an older horse. He did win 16 in a row. Jerry Bailey was the jockey. So the answer to the question is he was not one of those 3-year-olds that lit the board up as a 2-year-old. We all like to have our 2-year-olds break their maiden, win a stake, go to Florida, start their training, right? And they win the Fountain of Youth, the Florida Derby, or whether they go to the Bluegrass. He was not ready at that point. He was an immature, big, heavy horse. He came along late. That's the answer.
All right, I appreciate that, Roy.
Sterile. He was sterile. He did get a few mares in foal. That's extremely rare. Bill Mott was not one of the drug trainers that you would look at that we've heard of. We don't have to mention their names. Bill Mott's around today. He just won the Derby this year with Sovereignty. He won the Belmont with Sovereignty. So we're going to look at Sovereignty running Travers as long as he stays sound. Bill Mott's been a trainer, top trainer in New York for 40 years. But that's the answer with Cigar. He came along late. That's the reason why you didn't see him in those races.
Appreciate it, Roy.
Didn't they have Roy? Didn't they have a situation where he was racing on one surface and couldn't win a race, and then they switched him to another surface, meaning grass to dirt or dirt to grass?
It could have been at that time. Bill Mott was using the grass a lot. He could have been, but he won all his races on the dirt. He won in Dubai. Jerry Bailey was the jockey, 16 in a row. You're correct. The insurance company did have to pay a $36 million policy or whatever it was on him because he did come up sterile. Not completely sterile, but he wasn't able to do that. And he lived out his life on the Kentucky horse farm in Kentucky. Any fan can go see him. He died, I don't know, around 206, something like that.
He raced 11 times on turf. He raced 11 times on turf, and he was 7 out of 11 on the grass. But then he raced on the dirt. He was 18 out of 22 on the dirt. 2 seconds and 1/3. He made $9,990,000. His first trainer was Alex Hassinger Jr. His second trainer from the age 4 on up was Billy Mott.
Okay.
That's where the winning took place at 4 and up. I don't know the exact as far as
Yeah. Well, no, I'm reading. It's not that I know. I'm reading it.
That's correct. But the answer to the question is he just wasn't there good enough or in his
They
training.
said the reason why they didn't go for the Kentucky Derby or the Triple Crown races because they didn't want to carry, or he couldn't carry 126 pounds. I mean, that's what I was reading. I don't know.
All right, let me give you my opinion of the whole thing. Both of you had good answers and everything else. Now let me give you my opinion of the whole thing. When a trainer, especially a good trainer, especially a trainer like Mott, when a trainer has a horse like Cigar and it puzzles him, and he should be doing better. He's bred for the grass, but won't run on the grass. He's best for try him on the dirt. He won't do it back and forth. He becomes a puzzle. That's why they kept switching him, and that's why total inconsistencies. A trainer after two or three starts on either surface, a trainer starts looking for other reasons. The reason can't be equipment. The reason can't be it can't be anything else except internal. Either the horse is not trying, he has a twisted gut, he has a lameness problem, and I'm sure all of them things were checked out. I'm sure the jockey comes back and says he just don't have it today, he just don't have it. And that's when they start, especially back then with the steroids, and they just try everything because they become, especially for top trainers, and I don't understand it. He's 100% sound. Nothing's but he's eating well. He's doing this. He's doing that, and he just for some reason he don't try. They certain drugs you give to mares that don't try. They certain drugs you give to stallions and geldings that don't try. I'm sure all of this was tried. I'm only guessing. I don't know, but this is my opinion for inconsistencies on a great horse, just like Secretariat. There's 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 the story that everybody knows and everybody guessed because he had such a great trainer, and then there's stories that nobody knows. Few people like me that know the vets that treated Kelso and Secretariat and Cigar and where they went to Europe and when they came back and what they came back with and everything else. Now, I'm not going to go into that whole thing, but we could do a whole podcast on that. So, is that the reason he was sterile? The steroids use and everything else? I don't know because I also know a farm that bred horses. Every stallion that went there become he couldn't, nothing would happen, and they finally figured it out. A standardbred farm, that the farm was built uh, underneath these high tension wires, these electric wires. It was that electric that made all these horses sterile. And so, outside of something like that, uh, and steroids, overuse of steroids, maybe there's a condition why maybe an internal condition. But if I had a bet, I would bet it wasn't high tension wires, and it wasn't an internal thing. It had to be the steroids, especially by me knowing three vets, two that went to Europe and come back with, and one of them was Dr. Gerard, and the other one was I forgot their names, but when you went through what I went through and did what I did, associated with these kind of people, and always with veterinarians, you find out a lot of things that the regular people don't know about. And when they tell me that Secretariat won the best race ever in the history of thoroughbred racing because his heart was twice as big as anybody else's heart and everything else, that's bullshit. It's bullshit because I myself personally had the ability, and we did go to Pine Hollow Stud and measure the heart, lung capacity, heart size, brain size, nasal capacity, throat capacity, everything. Nothing really works. It's just up to the horse. Does he have the will? Does he have the ability? You need the ability and the will. So, how does Secretariat get beat many of his races by ordinary horses? Maybe not ordinary, and then all of a sudden go a race and win by 100 lengths, come the last quarter as fast as he went to the first quarter, which was never done in harness racing. I have a good idea why. I think I know why. Nobody else has the same idea except maybe a handful of people. So, everybody could say he's the greatest horse. Was he a good stallion? Ain't that the same kind of situation as Cigar? I don't know that much about it. I just know what went on. Not everything that went on, but a lot that went on, why it went on. And now today, what happened back then could never happen today. Uh, so that's it. And the super horses that they have now in harness racing, all of them guys that train them horses are in jail, and the vets that supplied that stuff. And a lot of information came out about it, and a lot of fines are being dealt out because of that. So will they ever completely stop it? No, no chance, because they synthesize these drugs, they leave one or two components out, and the test that they had for a certain drug is no longer valid because they switched around whatever it is in the drug that they could eliminate, and then the test becomes invalid. So so there's a whole lot, and the part that bothers me the most is two things: is that a lot of people believe that these big trainers don't do the drug thing, they don't do this, they don't do that. Well, let me tell you something. I have a bunch of books here that have a list of the top 10 trainers, and between them, they killed 1,000 horses since they've been training. I've been in the harness horse business for 60 years. I can't name two horses that died because of heart attacks. Baffert had 75. And go down the rest of the list of the trainers, even the top, not trainers, even the great Lucas, that all had horses there. Why? Drugs. And nobody can convince me different. Drugs. Drugs did it. Certain drugs deplete, and every drug has a reaction. And every reaction takes another drug that has another side effect. And before you know it, the minerals are being depleted. The bones are being depleted. Everything's being depleted. Somewhere in this pile, right here, somewhere in this pile, there's the name of the drug that I found that was given by all of these horses that were found, and most of these horses that died, that 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 take the all the minerals out of the bones and turns them into brittle. And that's why a lot of these horses are breaking legs and everything else when they had it. So I have all that literature. I have, and someday, Manny, you're going to come to my house. I have a closet full of attache cases full of information about every drug, everything, what they do, who did it, how they did it, and the vets that went to Europe and what they came back with. I have all that information. And if I ever hooked up with the animal rights people, I could do so much damage to the horse racing industry. It's not funny. Uh, and that's what bothers me is that not only do the trainers and owners don't give a fuck where these horses go after their races, and that these poor people who are trying to save these things go to kill pens and find horses that win $1 million in purse money for owners, and they're in a kill pen minutes away from getting a sledgehammer between their eyes and getting their head chopped off. Uh, but while they're alive, they get abused too. And that's the part that gets me, that they just get fucking abused. With all these top trainers today, thoroughbred trainers, it's remove and replace. Horse breaks down, get rid of him, replace him. They got 300-400 horses, and they got people that'll buy him another 3 fucking horses. You think that owner of that horse or that trainer's well, where is he going? Make sure he gets a good home. They don't give a fuck. He's gone. Where is he? I don't know. I know. Anyway, I don't want to go on these fucking rants. Let me just go to a couple more of these things here. Tommy Stiggs says, Larry, you and I are very fortunate. We are blessed. You can be dead and I can be doing life right now. He's 100% right. But because Tommy Stiggs knows Cabert, he grew up in that whole era. Tommy Stiggs was part of that whole thing. He knows everybody. He knows of Cabert. He knows of my story. and he wound up going to jail for I think 5 years or something like that because he was the bookmaker for that whole crew. So he knows, and he's right. I could be dead, and he could be doing life. Okay, PM. It's not like that old adage: you can win a race, but you can't beat the races. My thing that saved my life was very simple, and I mentioned it today to Manny's friends. How was I able to win all that money every week? My answer was I took the gamble out of gambling. And that's the only way you could win. Is take the game outside of what I said before when I answered Manny's question. I know five or six guys, professional gamblers, very disciplined, very sharp. They're ahead of the game, but that's out of 300 million gamblers. So it's very few. But I had to win. I couldn't take the chance. I couldn't be disciplined. I couldn't wait. I had a deadline every week. I had to do what I had to do. So I eliminate the gambling from gambling. Like I told Manny's friends, if me and you had a race and we had a bet, the only way I could lose that bet is if I bet on me. I could lose. But if I bet on you, I know I ain't beat you and I could win. So you eliminate the gambling from gambling, and that's what I did and made a lot of money doing it and saved my life. Okay, let's see this one. Eddie, the old black groups always had a rub rag in their pocket. I guess he meant the old black grooms had a rub
Yep.
rag pocket. They can rub the skin off a horse. That's very. That's very true.
100%.
Yeah, but you know the other thing, Eddie. Here's the other thing. I remember when I first started. This was in 1958, 59. You took a horse out, he'd come back. I wouldn't care if it was below zero or if it was 100 degrees. The routine was exactly the same. You bring him off the track, you
Yeah.
strip him, you wash him, 4 coolers. Every 15 minutes, as soon as the top cooler gets wet, you take it off. Walk him for another
Yep.
half hour, take the next cooler off. Another half hour, take the next cooler off. And by the time you take the last cooler off, he should be dry. But however, if he's not, you take the burlap bag that the oats used to come in and
Yep.
rub them with the burlap bag, okay? You know what they do today?
100%.
Today they come off the track, they take the equipment off and throw them in the stall, hit them with a cold hose and throw them in the
That's
stall.
it.
That's what you do today. Back then, and leave a full bucket of water in there. Back then, give them 3 sips of water every 15 minutes, walk them for an hour and a half and everything else. Oh, they'll found it, they'll do this, they'll do that. And through the years, all of a sudden now you take a horse that's worth $10 million. Same treatment. Throw them in the soil, wash them, throw them in the soil. Well, I shouldn't say that because the thoroughbreds still stick to that old tradition. They walk them forever when it's really not necessary. But
Yeah.
then you'll get some kind of freak that'll not. I shouldn't say freak, but some kind of health guy that'll say no. You got to let them wind down. Let their muscles cool. They don't get cramped up. They don't get colic. I haven't had one horse get the colic or founder because I gave him a half a bucket of water to drink today, while they were still hot. I never had one horse founded, never had one horse get sick, never had one horse get nothing that they said would happen 30 years prior. Okay, let's go down. Let's see what this guy says. Joseph, I can relate. When I'd win, I was a genius. When I lost, it was the jockey's fault. Okay, Larry, these tracks that have unbelievable purses should pay off at 1 to 8 or 10. Let everyone get a check to at least cover their expenses, but should pay off. Unbelievable purse should pay off. I guess what he's saying that he want every horse in the race to get money.
Okay. Now, what at the thoroughbreds you get paid. Say if there's 8 horses in a race, I'm just going to say 8. They'll pay up the fifth, and what happens is they give 3% of the purse. Say the purse is 80,000, so they'll take 3% of 80,000. It'll be 2,400. They'll take the 2,400 and they'll divide it for the sixth, seventh, and eighth weight horses, which would be so much per horse. So they do get some money. So that's that's the answer.
Okay. Joseph says, Larry, betting on the Chicago Bears and the New York Jets killed more people than cancer. Yeah, you got a point there. Okay, always a great show. Thanks, Michael. David Arthur, if you can't do a deal with a handshake, go get someone else to do business with. Well, today, it's the first thing when I went into the city to meet these people, the first thing they ask you have a contract with anybody. That's the first thing they ask you. It's all about contracts. Yeah, I spent 30 something $1,000 to get my contract with Village Roadshow, the entertainment attorney. They all want contracts. You can't help it. So, lawyers has become a necessary evil now. Okay. Larry, I had a date with a soccer player. She wouldn't let me use my hands. God bless Harry. And no, what's that mean? Anybody know what that means? I don't know what it means. Okay. Bombs away, Bob Grant. With the price Dunkin' Donuts, don't call them donuts. Get for a dozen these days. Bill. They should wrap a bill strap around the box.
No.
Okay. Thoroughbred owners make money gambling. Okay. Cigar was a freak. Think he won 17 in a row. 10 million made. Now here's another thing. I think Roy hit on this. That when he was young, they were trying to figure him out, this and that. All of a sudden, I guess they found the key to him when he was maybe 5 or 6 years old, whatever he was. Um, so it just amazed me that it took so long. See, that could never happen with standardbreds, and that's why it intrigues me. And I say things I shouldn't say about a trainer, thoroughbred trainer, because I would be damned if I had a horse like Cigar and it took me 3 or 4 years to try to figure him out, regardless what the problem was, whether it be grass or dirt or lameness or I mean at 4 years old they're completely mature. The lower hocks are completely fused together, the knees are together, splint bones are set, everything is set except maybe the feet. And I'm sure that Mott took care of that. So I don't know. It's just puzzling, and these are the things that intrigue me. And I'd like to get to the bottom of it, but because I'm not there, I could never find out. Okay, I took the winning picture of him in black and white. I guess Sundance she's talking about Cigar. Almost positive started strong as a 4-year-old. Almost positive started strong as a 4-year-old. Rest history. There's a great video of Cigars. I think that's what you're talking about, Manny, on YouTube. Still shots of crowd, ESPN video, link below. Cigar ran Holy Bull until Holy Bull broke down. Cigar was the male version of yeah. Simon Bray of TVG FanDuel TV was Mott's assistant trainer and worked with Cigar. Said it was amazing that Bill kept his feet together the final year. That's what I just said before I even read this. The only other thing it could be is his feet. Didn't I just say something like that? I mentioned his feet. That's the only
Yeah.
thing because the rest of the body is already structured. The last thing that heals on a horse is high up in the back. That's all healed by the time they're 4 years old. So the only other thing it could be is his feet. And if he was bred for the grass, he probably has flat feet. I don't see. I don't know none of this. I'm only guessing. But the only thing it could possibly be is his feet, and that's what this guy just says. Bill kept his feet together for the final year. Now I don't. That's another problem. Unless he was founded or halfway founded, what the fuck's the problem with keeping him sound? Even if you have to build an artificial wall and an artificial foot, as long as the coffin bone is positioned right and he's not founded, build an artificial foot, build an artificial wall, put glue-ons on them, do something. But how the fuck could you? So maybe that was the problem all the time, his feet. And if he was bred and he had big flat feet for the grass, maybe that's why he was so good. Maybe that's why he. Who knows? I don't know. It's a mystery. I wish I knew more about it so I could talk intelligently about it. Because right now I'm just rambling. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Okay, Pat. The call from Cigar's first race off the turf. Cigar opens up 2.5 lengths, a half mile. Could it be? In 44 and 3/5 seconds. Perhaps it was too
What
fast.
was,
Spoiler, it was not.
what was wrong with Cigar's feet?
Okay, a couple more and then we're going to quit. Okay, let's see this one. It took. I took Cigar off the van for Billy Mott. He won going away by 10. I knew it. Billy was like, wow. Cigar went ringing Bailey Circus. I wish I knew more about Cigar. I wish I really knew the whole story because that comment before about his feet was interesting because that's the only thing it could have been. It couldn't have been lameness. It had to be either attitude problem. It couldn't have been a breathing problem. It couldn't have been a lameness problem unless it was the feet because that's the only thing. Even because everything else is fused. By the time they're 4 years old, the lower part of the hock, which is usually the major problem behind them bones in the lower joint, they're fused by the time they're four. It couldn't be nothing else, lameness wise, because Mott would have found it. So it has to be the feet. So that comment that guy made was right. Mott was lucky to keep his feet going for his whole 5-year-old year. The only problem with that statement, and I'm sure it's true, is what the fuck's the problem with keeping his feet out? As long as he wasn't founded or half founded, where the coffin joint was rotated, what's the problem? Thin walls, flat foot. Okay, so build them up, build the feet up. They have all this
Larry,
artificial stuff now. What?
Larry, there it is, right here. Racehorse Cigar's experiences several foot problems during his racing career, primarily affecting the right front foot. These issues include stone bruises, a common injury caused by stepping on rocks or whatever, which led to pain and abscesses. Trainer Bill Mott had to cut and drain the abscesses in Cigar's foot. Hoof wall cracks. Cigar had minor cracks in the hoof well that required an acrylic patch for protection. General foot problems reports mentioned Cigar experience and recurring problems with the same foot for months and months at a time.
Wow,
These
there you go.
these foot issues caused Cigar to miss some races and training days, like the Santa Anita Handicap, highlighting the significance of hoof and health in the race. However, despite these setbacks, Cigar was able to recover and continue the success racing career. While these problems were concerning at the time, they were not considered career ending and were carefully managed in veterinary care. Cigar was able to overcome the challenges. It is remembered that thoroughbreds, especially racers, can be prone to hoof problems due to various factors like genetics, intense training, and environmental conditions. Maintaining a good hoof, well, there's a whole thing about the foot.
All right.
So,
So as far as genetics go, as far as genetics go, you could take care of that problem with fiberglass, with anything. Just rebuild the wall, rebuild the foot, rebuild anything. So that would take care of the weakness there that creates quarter cracks or cracks
Yeah.
in. As far as all the sole problems where he stepped on rock. When the fuck does a horse ever step on rocks at these racetracks?
Some
Why don't?
some of these training tracks got.
All right, so maybe that's true. So what you do then is maybe because they race every 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
What a full pad.
put a full pad on them, and you don't
There
have to
you
worry
go.
about that. Instead of stabling them on straw or sawdust, stable them on peat moss. Just put peat moss in there. The foot
Yeah.
and everything in the foot will grow twice as fast, and you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. And it would keep the foot healthy. Just put them on peat moss. It's a mess, but put them on peat moss. A horse like that. I
Yep.
just don't understand why they have all these. And the reason I don't understand it is because, hey, look, I bought a horse from Benny Perkins, who was one of the leading trainers at Monmouth Park at the time, and he had a horse in a 5,000 claimer. The horse's name was Good Scout, and the horse he go to the race. I don't know how we got him to the race, but he'd go to the racetrack and he'd act like he's walking on, jogging and running on cobblestones. So I asked Alan Sewell to go buy the horse for me. He bought the horse for the claimant price, $5,000. And we just talked about this with Roy, I believe.
Yeah.
I think Roy mentioned that Sess's daughter's husband was married to a jockey who was also Alan's exercise rider and jockey, Jose. And when Roy talked to Jose, and I think this conversation you told me about it, that he says,
Right.
"Yeah, I remember Larry. He bought that horse, Good Scout. He put new feet on him. He put the glue on shoes. He patched the quarter cracks and everything else. That horse was half founded, and I bought the horse for $5,000, and he walked like he was on eggshells. And within 2 months." I started him back. I left him right there. And the proof is, and I'm glad that Roy's on the show, and I'm glad he had that conversation with the jockey Jose, because Jose said, "Yeah, I remember him. He's the one that had that. He used to work on the horse and fix his feet or something." Didn't you tell me that something like that, Roy?
Exactly. Because after I first met you, I called Jose the next day and I
Yeah.
said, I asked him, did you know Good Scout? And Jose said, I don't know. I don't know. This is only several weeks ago. And I said, how about Larry Rolla? He said, oh, yeah. And he told me the story you just said because that's what I
Okay.
told
So
you.
now what happened was Alan, I was working undercover and I didn't have a license. I was with Alan, and the horse I think was under my mother's name or Alan's name. So anyway, I rebuilt his foot. I patched the quarter crack he had, and I put glue-ons on him myself. This was before Ian McKinley. And we start training. I start training him at a stall in Alan's barn. I start training him with Alan's good horses. By the time the Monmouth meet ended, I was training with Alan's horse called, oh God, I almost had the horse's name. Alan's good horse. He had a real good horse, and I was beating him. So now we were shipping to Hialeah. We were shipping to Hialeah, and I told Alan, I says, when you get there, put him in opening day because we're going to bet on him. And opening day, they're going to have the biggest crowd. I says, so put him in every race from a 5 claimer to a 30 claimer. I don't give a fuck what race he gets in. He winds up getting in a $30,000 claimer. And me and Alan bet on him, and he win by open links. So when I experience these things, I don't make these stories up. When I experience these things like Cigar, it puzzles me how you can have a horse like Cigar with that kind of talent and ability, and obviously the feet are the problem. Why it can't be now? I'm sure that these chronic conditions, like the horse keeps getting accesses. Okay, maybe what? Maybe it's because they don't cut the whole thing out all the time. They cut most of it out. They released all the pus and everything in it. He gets relief, but the separation is still there, and that could happen. I can understand that, but it'd be interesting to me to know the whole story of that horse. And then the things
Larry,
I get into
Larry,
what?
listen, I gotta go. It's
Go
10:30.
ahead.
I'm half dead.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna end this right now.
All right, good night,
Oh, wait,
fellas.
one more thing, Eddie.
Good night, Eddie.
Is a Yeah, this guy Joe says to you about this, Eddie. Eddie is a pro. I'm just a horse racing fan who reads the racing form. All the best, Eddie. Okay, you got a fan.
Thank you,
Oh,
Joseph.
okay, I'm not going to read no more comments.
Night, Ed.
And
Good night, Dave Roy. I'll speak to you soon.
It's a
and
pleasure.
and
Luck to
and
you.
Roy, I thank you for coming on. And Manny, I'm glad you're coming on, even though you haven't sit still for 30 seconds yet. But I'm glad you came on, and I want you to come on Monday. I'm sure I'll talk to you 100 times before Monday. All right, Eddie. Good night. I'm gonna take you off. Roy, thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
take you off, and I'll talk to you soon, Roy. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry. See you,
Okay,
man.
okay.
Good
Bye.
night.
Eddie, Manny. Oh, wait a minute. What did I do?
Oh,
What did I do here? I take Eddie off. I took everybody off. Boy, did I screw this up. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's Manny. What are you eating now, Manny?
I just had a pickle. I just ate a pickle. Are you going to play the song? Are you going to play your song before you go?
You like that song? That song was written for me, you know.
Yeah, you should play it.
You like
I
that?
definitely. Yeah, you should definitely
It's
play that song again.
it's getting old. It's getting late. Okay, I'm going to play the song, and then right after the song, I'm going to end it. So, Manny, I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow or the next day, and that's it. If you talk to your
You
friends,
got it, buddy.
tell them it was a nice meeting today. It was nice meeting them, and I'm sure I'll talk to you. So here goes the song. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, we're going to have a show tomorrow and a show Thursday. Don't miss the show Thursday, and don't miss the show on Monday. And even tomorrow, we're gonna have Ron back on. He's going to tell about all the horses and that he owned and his experience, how he got them, what he paid for them, who trained them, and the whole bit. So please tune in. Okay, that's it. I'm going to play the song. Manny, I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges. They're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on on a Sunday afternoon. Gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. I dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Blast, live it full, life goes fast. You're carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matter. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell, IGL.